All right, there's also this. The White House is pausing all military aid for Ukraine days after President Trump and Zelensky's blow up in the Oval Office. The decision also comes after the Ukrainian leader said a deal to end the war is still, quote, very, very far away, leading to this response from President Trump.
I want to see it end fast. I don't want to see this go on for years and years. Now, President Zelensky supposedly made a statement today. He said he thinks the war's going to go on for a long time. And he better not be right about that. That's all I'm saying.
Former CIA station chief and Fox News contributor Dan Hoffman joins me now. Dan, good morning to you. So this is not a permanent termination of aid. This is a pause. So will this pause in aid, first of all, impact the Ukrainian military at all? And also, do you think it's going to bring Vladimir Zelensky to the negotiating table?
Well, I think that there's a risk that it'll impact Ukraine's air defenses. They really need the Patriot missiles that we're providing. I think the concern that I have isn't about Ukraine. Ukraine wants to negotiate a peace deal. After all, it's Russia that's been raining down hell on Ukrainian civilians in their homes and their hospitals and their maternity wards and neighborhoods for over 3 years now. The question is whether the president's strategy of trying to entice Russia to the negotiating table with public statements indicating that we wouldn't support NATO membership for Ukraine, that Ukraine would not be able to go back to its 2014 borders. We've given Russia a path out of its diplomatic isolation by engaging in talks in Saudi Arabia and Istanbul and talking about increasing the size of our diplomatic presence in Russia and here in the United States. All of those things, as well as this pause on military aid designed to entice Russia to come to the table, I just don't know that there's evidence that Vladimir Putin is ready to engage in a ceasefire, let alone an end to the conflict. Putin's strategic objective is to topple the government of Ukraine and install a Kremlin puppet regime. And I'm looking for the President Trump tonight, to explain his own strategy and maybe to his own Republicans as well in the Congress about whether this strategy might be emboldening Putin to carry on the fight, knowing that Ukraine will be receiving less assistance from the United States.
Wow, so that's very interesting. So you think that if things could be repaired between Vladimir Zelensky and President Trump, the real issue down the road will be Russia. And some people have suggested that if that does happen, obviously still on the table could be a real U.S. pressure on Russia, even more so than is in place right now in the form of, financial pressures and things of that sort, and also ramped up support for Ukraine. I mean, with all that just transpired in the Oval Office and these tensions between Vladimir Zelensky and President Trump, do you really still think that could be a possibility?
It's certainly less likely, and President Zelensky missed a golden opportunity, and I don't think he understood or took the opportunity to see himself through President Trump's eyes, or to see Ukraine through President Trump's eyes. There's a clear difference here where President Trump wanted to negotiate that mineral deal and sign it first before we talked about a ceasefire, before we started talking about security guarantees. And President Zelensky wanted to address all three of those issues simultaneously. That's just not an option right now. And Zelensky missed an opportunity for the United States to have skin in the game commercially in Ukraine, which would have been the best outcome for Ukraine. And that doesn't bode well for the future of relations between the United States and Ukraine in the near term or potentially longer.
Yeah, and now the White House is saying that Donald Trump wants an apology from Vladimir Zelensky, who is so dug in. It'll be interesting if he has the ability to say those words, "I'm sorry," to the President of the United States. Do you think that the relationship can be repaired?
Well, I don't know that it can be. I'm not exactly sure what President Zelensky needs to do. There's been talk of a public apology. I know President Trump wasn't pleased when Zelensky said that he thought the war might go on for some time. Again, the war for Ukraine has gone on since 2014, when Russia illegally annexed Crimea by force, and then continued fighting against Ukraine until 2022, when they launched their massive invasion and violated a 2019 ceasefire. And so President Zelensky sees Russia as an existential threat to his country. His soldiers have fought bravely. His civilians have died. and he's gravely concerned about post-war reconstruction, which will cost billions of dollars, as well as deterring Russia in the future.
Yeah, and the president, of course, making that speech before Congress tonight, and a White House official told Fox News Digital that Donald Trump is going to lay out his plan to end the war in Ukraine. So while there's this pause in aid, the Trump is making plans on how to proceed, so we will certainly be watching. Dan, thank you so much for joining us this morning.